What is the core message of your presentation?
So Jacques Maritain, one of the architects of the UN Declaration of Human Rights, has famously said in this tweetable remark, we all agree on these rights provided nobody asks us why. What's often forgotten is that the why is essentially important. Maritain himself goes on to note that. The why is the space that religious freedom gives us. It's the space for creative religious communities to do hermeneutical work and theological work, to articulate their own rationale for why we believe in these things. It turns out when you go across the globe, and even when you go right here at home, those reasons why are essentially important for building a just society.
Freedom of religion is a fundamental freedom as defined in both the Canadian Charter and the U.S. Constitution. Does it remain so today in practice?
I think one of the things that free societies badly need are religious communities, are the little platoons, as Burke would call them, actually doing the heavy theological work, articulating the reasons out of their own traditions for what do we mean by commonness? Why would we rub shoulders with people who are different, with people who believe different sorts of things? Right now, I think one of the major challenges that we have, you see this in the US election, but you see it all over the world with the rise of nationalism and religious extremism. We have a calamitous situation with commonness. We're not sure what it is that draws us together. We're not sure what it is that we believe that gives us any kind of cohesion. We badly, I think, need these communities to be doing the heavy lifting and pushing us together, not in a kind of drive-by pluralist sort of way, but in a way that genuinely helps us recognize each other as human beings and build a common society and a common project together.
If freedom of religion is a fundamental freedom, can it also be argued to be a foundational freedom?
I'm very happy to call religious freedom a foundational freedom. I often say that all of the human rights are a kind of indivisible bundle. They all depend on each other in a certain respect. I think freedom of religion or belief, though, is as one of the most important of those. I like to call it a first among equals, just like the Prime Minister in Canada, because it's the thing that catalyzes all of the other rights. First, we have to have the freedom to express and manifest our most foundational beliefs and positions on things. We have to have the ability to engage with other people, to dialogue, to debate, to agree and disagree. Only after that do things like freedom of expression, freedom of association, all of those things sort of flow out the ability to do that sort of first original thing first. So do these things come along together? Of course they do. They're indivisible in a sense. You can't divorce religious freedom from other forms of equality and other forms of freedom, but that is the freedom that catalyzes the others and makes them possible.
Freedom of religion, like other freedoms, is understood to be born and exercised first and foremost by individuals. But what about the role of faith communities or faith-based institutions? Do they exercise these freedoms as communities of faithful individuals?
So I think that religious freedom as an individual freedom is actually an incoherent idea. Religion, religio, the Latin or religio, is all about binding people together. It's a necessarily communal activity. There's no such thing as an isolated Christian. There's no such thing as an isolated Muslim. They're part of the community. They're part of the ummah, just like the Christian is part of the church. The idea that religious freedom, therefore, can be contained to just individual expression, it doesn't make any sense. It's incoherent. It doesn't respond to the actual root of the term religion and what it means.
How do we ensure, and why must we ensure, the robust exercise of religious freedom within a multi-faith and multicultural society?
I think the best way that we can ensure the robust practice of religious freedom is to talk about what it is we believe, to talk about it together, to not feel the sense of fear and anxiety that permeates so many of these conversations, but to frankly and to generously name the things that we think are the most important and to be willing to listen to people respond in kind. That kind of attitude, I call it kind of political humility. I think that's intrinsic to any free exercise of religion. And it's only through those very tangible practices that this very lofty concept of freedom of religion or belief will ever itself be realized.